Welcome to the new normal modular distance learning. Hi, on behalf of all the subject teachers in the subject Contemporary Philippine Arts from the regions, this is Jennifer T. Delmash of the Dagupan City National High School Senior High School who will be with you for this first part of the Week 1 Module 1 in the subject. Are you ready? For this part, we'll be focusing on the definition of arts and the contemporary arts, the reasons why people engage in arts, the functions of art, the factors affecting art style. In your module, you have learning competency, the learning objectives, and the sources or references of all the instructional materials and presentations for this particular discussion. Let's begin. What is art? You are right. Art is the manifestation of human experience through artistic skill and creation, typically in a visual form such as painting, ang Kyokoks, The Fisherman at Sea, sculpture, Guillermo Tolentino's The Oblation, drawing, film, Lino Broca's Tinimbang Ka Ngunit Kulang, the plant lovers or the plantitos and plantitas way of arranging potted plants, and today's artistic designs of face masks, and a lot more, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Art is the imitation of life as well, and of the world, rendered beautifully which gives pleasure, or a human pursuit to imitate life and the world into something pleasing or beautiful. It is a replication or recreation of reality. It is creating something new, something original, and something different. I remember the books and the stories that we read, the songs that we hear, the films or presentations or performance that we watch. Art is life. What about the term contemporary? Yes, it is belonging to or occurring in the present. Therefore, contemporary art is the art of today, the newest form of art, and the arts from society's passion. Now, the pictures that you see below are the crafts and masterpieces of our local, national, and even international artists who have done this through the elements of appropriation, hybridity, space, technology, and performance. Now, are you familiar with this photo? It's actually a photo of a painting called The Parisian Life by Juan Luna, which is done in 1892. Now, like Juan Luna and the other artists, well, including you and me, why do we engage in art? Is it to express our emotions and thoughts, be it real or imaginary, to produce things of beauty and masterpieces, to self actualize, to immortalize ourselves, to inform, persuade, to entertain people, or to earn money? This particular painting, The Parisian Life, shows that Juan Luna himself did self actualization. Why? This painting features a cafe with a woman prominently seated with a cigar and wine. Isn't that liberation for a woman to go alone in a certain cafe? Also, with the presence of three gentlemen at the far left corner, and two of them are seemingly gazing at the woman. Isn't that kind of a Parisian life when actually these three gentlemen are found out to be Dr. Rizal, Ariston Bautista, and the artist himself, who had been ilustrados in their period and were given the chance to go for further studies in Paris. Also, this painting had fetched amounting to $859,924 at a certain Christie's auction in Hong Kong in 2002. And did you know that GSIS Philippines had paid this large sum of money just to have this painting? Yes. Now, when we look at a certain artwork, be it painting, a photograph, a sculpture, or even a tattoo, how do we feel about them? What do you think is the function of each masterpiece? Is it personal, cultural, economic, historical, social, political, religious, physical, or aesthetic? When we say personal, that is when art is used for personal reasons. So, like the other artists who give free exhibits just to let the public see and have a taste of their masterpieces. Also, those singers or bands giving free concerts or concerts for a cause that beyond monetary fund or raising funds for a particular project, they just give their best in presenting those artworks and their skills, and they share that blessings for free. That is to inspire people. Cultural is when art is used to preserve culture such as traditions. Now we see there the picture of Apo Wang Od, a national artist who at present or contemporary times is still doing the tattooing featuring the Kalinga tattoos, which she has started doing it when she was still 15. The tourists do come in Kalinga to have a taste of the tattoos and be inked by this national artist, Apo Wang Od herself. Economic, when art is utilized for business or livelihood. Of course, plainly to earn money. For example, are those productions or plays or films wherein the producers, the collaborators, the team really invested large amount of money to come up with a very artistic project or artwork. Example of this is GMA's Encantadia, wherein we see the setting and the very amazing costumes of the sangres. Isn't it great to see such kind of a certain work that really started satisfy us, not only our eyes, but our soul and our hearts. Historical is when art serves to record historical figures or events. And we see that at Rizal Park, featuring our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. And that particular statue of Rizal really reminds us of the heroic deeds during the time of the Spaniards through Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Social is when art is used for the benefit of the society. So we can see dramas are publicly shown or a performance is done with an audience. Now, beyond the performance, the message that is being sent to the viewers. Example of this are the satires. Particularly in the mid-80s, we have this in a certain big network or television network which is entitled Abangan ang susunod na kabanata. It depicted the realities during that period, the mid-80s. And what is the satire all about? It's a literary work that holds up the human follies and the vices to ridicule. Political is when art is utilized by government officials or government um, officers or elected officials for projects. So this is particularly shown during the Marcoses' time. We have the mural paintings along streets and roads and the construction of the cultural center of the Philippines. And at present or contemporary time, we have the white sand, the artificial white sand or the dolomites along Manila Bay area, and it has garnered different responses. That whatever your response to that particular project, be it negative or positive, you and me are entitled to our own opinions, and nobody can question that, right? Okay, for the religious function, that is when art is used for religious practices. It's looking at that or those churches and mosques which are carefully and artistically constructed to serve the purpose of worshiping or religious congregations. Physical is when the houses and buildings are constructed to protect people and all other things that may come inside or will be placed inside. Also, the facades of the buildings, especially when it's for business, it could attract customers or clients. Aesthetic is when art serves to beautify. When we say to beautify, we see how the works of the fashion designers, the makeup artists, and also you young learners with my fellow educators during those times when we are asked to beautify the school, particularly our classrooms. We are all artists in our own simplest ways. Congratulations! Now we proceed to the factors affecting art style. One is geographical, historical, social, ideational, psychological, and technical. Geographical is when art made by an artist may be influenced by the place where he is. We have the marble industry in Romblon. Why? Because there is supply of the marble materials. In Paite, Laguna, where the male population in that place primarily engaged in wood carving, so wooden sculptures abound. We also see the structure of durian at the Davao City International Airport, knowing that this fruit is a renowned produce in that particular place. Historical is when a work of art may be affected by historical events. Example of this is another work of Juan Luna, Espolarium, which is a painting exposing the Filipino oppression by the Spaniards. We also have the social, when social relationships, interactions with people can also inspire an artist. So at present time, those who are manufacturing the face masks and all other uh, things which are really related to the present situation, the COVID-19 pandemic. We have the campaign shirts or advocacy shirts, we have caps, and others, wherein people or the artists really would like to keep on moving forward. Of course, we do not need to be frightened and to be disheartened at this moment. There should always be a positive response to this pandemic. It's just a matter of faith and of course living it to following instructions and dealing with it. Oh, let me go back to that. We also have ideational. That is when the information or ideas from other people can also be a source of theme for a work of art. And that gives us the notion of this nudism. Nudism or nude paintings or photographs really would like to tell us that there is this campaign or this advocacy for a simple living without clothes like our forefathers. And there shouldn't be no malice. Okay? There shouldn't be malice about it because our body is the best creation of the Lord. Also, we have the Oblation by Guillermo Tolentino, which is found in every University of the Philippines campus. And from there, we see the selflessness or the selfless offering of oneself to the country. there's freedom. Next, we have psychological, when the thinking or present or situation or condition of mind can affect art creation. Example of this was during the time when Mindanao is in a state of violence and this illegal loggings. Now, the scene folk rock band came up with Masdan Mo Ang Kapaligiran song. Also, we have the Magkaisa, which is the song particularly known during EDSA Revolution 1 or the People Power 1. Now, Kim chose very controversial lines, bawal lumabas dahil may batas. It has become a novelty song out of the situation. So class, I would like you to know that during these times, you shouldn't be disheartened. You should continue on dreaming. You should see yourself successful in the future. Just continue and have faith. Follow rules. Believe in yourself. Technical is when the choice of materials to use influences artwork. For example, in paintings, the strokes depend on the kind of brush or material that you use. Also, when it's canvas or fabric or ordinary paper or special ones. Now, in the picture, we see the San Juanico Bridge. Of course, the choice of the materials there is considered or was considered to be one of the best decisions. Why? Because it's still serving its purpose at this very moment. The choice of materials there kept it that way, durable, strong. So it connects people, Leyte to Samar, the purpose of transporting business and people, of course. So it is really a good thing to have a good, if not the best choice of materials. Okay, this is the end of our discussion for this session. And I'd like you to do a reading assignment with the topics various art forms and overview of the Philippine arts history. In your module, you will find these topics. So we will be considering these various art forms such as fine or aesthetic and the utilitarian or practical. The overview of the Philippine art history from the ethnic art period until the contemporary era. Okay, that's the end of it. For queries, please DM me at my personal Facebook account, NayTD, or at our Contemporary Philippine Arts from the Regions group chat. Thank you for listening. And again, dear learners, continue learning whatever these trying times may take us. Don't be disheartened. So, ano pang hinihintay natin? Tara! ML tayo sa Dagupan City National High School, Senior High School. God bless everyone and see you at the next session. Welcome to the new normal modular distance learning. Hi, this is Jennifer T. Dalmash of the Dagupan City National High School, Senior High School, who will be joining you once again for the second part of this week 1 of the Module 1 in the Contemporary Philippine Arts from the Regions. Are you ready? In this session, we will be discussing the various contemporary art forms in the Philippines and an overview to Philippine arts history. But before that, let us have a recap of the lessons from the previous session. Will you please give one definition of art? Correct. It is the creation of something new, something original, and something different. What about contemporary arts? Very great. It is the art of the day or the arts from society's passion. What about one reason why people engage in arts? Very good. We have to entertain people. And a function of art, that's great. It is personal function. What about one factor affecting art style? Congratulations. One is geographical. Good job. Now we proceed to the various art forms, which are classified into two. One is fine or aesthetic, or the major arts. The other is utilitarian or practical, or the so-called minor arts. Now, under fine arts, we have painting, drawing, graphic arts, or those visual arts that have length and width. Thus, they are also called two-dimensional arts, described as flat arts because they are seen on flat surfaces, but you still get to feel the subject. It just doesn't look like as real as three-dimensional would do. We also have sculpture, which is the art of making two or three-dimensional in abstract forms, especially by carving stone or wood or by casting metal or plaster. And of course, the architecture, which is the art and technique of designing and building as distinguished from the skill associated with construction. We also have decorative art like tapestry, which is a form of textile art traditionally woven on a vertical loom. We also have ceramic art, which is made by taking mixtures of clay, earthen elements, powders, and water and shaping them into design forms. We also have mosaic, which is the decorative art of creating pictures and patterns on a surface by setting small colored pieces of glass, marble, or other materials in a bed of cement, plaster, or adhesive. Glass art, which is referring to individual works of the art that are substantially or wholly made of glass. And also jewelries, consisting of a small decorative item worn for personal adornment such as brooches, rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and cufflinks. Still under visual arts, we have contemporary art. This includes artistic photography, printing or art print, video art, animation, or the art of making inanimate objects appear to move. Animation is an artistic impulse that long predates the movies. We also have graffiti, which is an art represented by writing or drawing applied to public walls or other surfaces. Through the use of paint, spray paint, pen, chalk, or other medium, the artists could scribble or scratch their artworks on various surfaces. This is legal. We also have visual arts with a plastic art. Are those visual arts that have length, width, and volume. Thus, they are called three-dimensional arts. Examples of this are sculpture, architecture, landscape, city planning design, set design, theater design, industrial design, crafts, and allied arts. We proceed to the audiovisual arts, which includes music, dance, and drama. Music is the use of vocal or instrumental sounds combined in such a way as to produce beauty of form, harmony, and expression of emotion. Dance is the art of moving body or bodily movement rhythmically to music, typically following a set sequence of steps. Lastly, we have drama, which is a prose or verse composition, especially one telling a serious story that is intended for representation by actors, impersonating the characters, and performing the dialogue and action. We also have literary arts, which includes poetry and prose. Prose like short stories, novels, essays, and plays. For poetry, we have narrative, lyric, and the dramatic poems. Next is the practical or utilitarian arts. We have industrial, applied, civic, commercial, agricultural, distributive, fishery, and medical or clinical arts. For industrial art, it is a converting of raw materials into some important products or product for human use. Examples are shell, bamboo, leather crafts, shoemaking, pottery making, sheet metal works, and manufacturing automobiles and home appliances. Applied art pertains to household arts such as flower arrangement, interior decoration, dressmaking, homemaking, embroidery, cooking, and others. This also includes the present artistic designs of our face shields and face masks. Civic art, in order to improve the standards of living, is what civic planning and beautification means. It includes city or town planning, maintenance, and beautification of any public areas. Next is commercial art, which is an art that involves business propaganda in the form of advertisements. We also have agricultural art. This includes merchandising, accounting, bookkeeping, typewriting, stenography, salesmanship, and business administration. For distributive art, it deals with advertising, marketing, warehousing, packaging, shipping of articles and goods. Of course, at this moment, we are very familiar with this through the online selling. Fishery art includes shallow and deep sea fishing, fish refrigeration, and culture net weaving. Lastly, we have medical or clinical art. It includes first aid treatments, medicinal manufacturing, surgery, medical operations, rehabilitation, and of course, at present we have the quarantine facilities. Always remember that arts plays significant part in the rich cultural identity of the Philippines because it mirrors the Filipinos, its history, and the country as a whole. Now we proceed to the following, which are the different eras of Philippine art. We'll start with the ethnic era until the present time or the contemporary era. For ethnic art period from pre 13 AD, we have the introduction of integral to life period, wherein arts for ritual purposes or for everyday use. As local communities become established, art starts to go beyond mere craft. Examples are stone weapons or jewelries, but started to have decorative elements, meaning, and context on the latter part. Next is the Islamic art period, or the sometime 1380, which is this period being characterized by geometric designs and patterns eliciting focus from believers. We also have the next, which is the Spanish era or the rise of the faith and catechism. Now, when the Spaniards arrived in the Philippines in 1521, the colonizers used art as a tool to propagate the Catholic faith through beautiful images. Art became a handmaiden of religion, serving to propagate the Catholic faith and thus support the colonial order at the same time. Now we have here Damian Domingo, also known as the father of Filipino painting, because he is the first Filipino to paint his self-portrait. Next is the American era, wherein these Americans set out to conquer the Philippines through education and governance, through the public school system and a system of government. We have this secular form of arts in this period, while Fabian de la Rosa, a classicist, was the first painter of note for that particular century. He was noted for his realistic portraits, genre, and landscapes in subdued colors. Modernists such as Miguel Zaragoza, with his two pointillist works, also Emilio Alvaro, who later produced several impressionist still life paintings. But it would take an architect to give modernism its needed boost in the country. So we have Arellano or Juan Arellano, who is known as the architect, but his impressionist landscapes are as impressive as his buildings. Next to the American era is of course the rise of Orientalizing period, which is the Japanese era in 1941 to 1945. Now in this particular era, the Filipinos lost their freedom of speech and expression. So in response to these hardships and difficulties by the Filipinos, artists came up with this particular artwork such as A Day Begins by Vicente Alvarez Dizon. Also, we have The Rape and Massacre in Ermita by Diosdado Lorenzo. Now, next is the modern era. Modern era in Philippine arts began after the World War II, and this is the period of national identity. We have Victorio Idades as the father of modern Philippine arts. During this period, there are writers and artists who pose the question of national identity as the main theme of various art forms. Next is of course the present from the 1970s and the rise of social realism or the so-called contemporary era. Contemporary art mirrors contemporary culture and society. Contemporary artists' work is a dynamic combination of materials, methods, concepts, and subjects that challenges traditional boundaries and defies easy definition. Now for the historical view, for painting, we have figurative and non-figurative, art for art's sake, multimedia, mixed media, and transmedia. For architecture, we have the rise of the real estate, the safe housing, condominiums, villages, subdivisions, commercial, business, convention buildings. For painting, in the post-contemporary, we have collaborative, hyper-realist, and the new painting. For sculpture, we have the jank scrap, neo-indigenous, the site-specific, the performance art, and hybrid. For architecture, we have Filipino architecture, urban planning, economic zone, the neo-vernacular, the regionalist, cosmopolitan. That's the end of it, but I'd like you to answer first the following. Identify what art form are these following images. Okay, let's take number one. That is an example of correct graphic art. What about number two? It is a drawing. Number three, one of the famous works of Amor Solo is a painting, Girl with Mango. Number four, also a renowned sculpture by Abueva. And number five is a mosaic by Campos. Nice work. Now, that's the end of it, class, but before we part, don't forget to drop your queries or DM me any concerns and questions at NayTD or at our group chat in the subject Contemporary Philippine Arts from the Regions. That's it for today. Thank you for listening and see you in the next sessions, class. God bless everyone and be safe.